All right, let's make a cross cut on this saw and show you how to set up and perform a cut. So the first thing we need to do is we need to prep the space and prep the saw. So we need to make sure that there are clear walkways, that there are no big piles of dust or anything for you to slip on. We need to make sure that the sliding table moves to its full extents. We need to make sure that when we set up the saw that we don't over constrain it and that we have a safety zone. We need to make sure we have safety tools within reach, so push sticks. We're going to do a quick blade inspection, and we're going to make sure that our working surface is nice and clear. So I'm going to take a cross cut on this piece of MDF here. We're going to take, let's say, 50 mil off it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my stop on this side here and make sure that I'm not over constrained. So I'm going to use the offset. I'm going to place the offset fairly far forward to begin with. I'm going to use a tape measure, and the reason I'm going to use a tape measure is that it's the most accurate way to do it. I'm going to be measuring, because the important side is this side of the blade, I'm going to be measuring from the fence to the right hand side of the blade. And we're going to take 50 mil. That's 50 mil. I'm going to move this back since we're making a cross cut. So that's my cut distance set. I'm now going to set up my piece to work with. So I don't need my stops, so I'm just going to move them out of the way. I'm nice and before the blade. I've got my material where I need it to be. I can hold onto the handle. I'm going to hold onto my material firmly. I'm going to be pushing down into the sliding table and into the fence to make sure everything's nice and square. I've got a push stick here so that I can clear my material once it's made the cut. So I'm ready to go. So I'm going to turn on the saw using the interlock. And that's on. Normally we were using dust extraction, but for the purposes of filming, we're going to keep it nice and quiet. I'm going to turn on the saw, I'm going to make the cut, and I'm going to push through my material at the end, nice and high with the push stick, and clear it off and turn the saw off. As we talked about before, it's really important that we do all our setup and prep, and the very last thing we do is we just do what we just did, which is do the imagination part, the visualize what's going to happen once I make the cut. Now that I've done that, I can turn the saw on and begin the cut. I'm going to wait for the blade to come up to speed. The blade's now at speed, we're going to make the cut. One of the things that we really want to point out with regards to safety is that when you are making cuts with the table saw, we really want you to always set up your material with the longest edge supported. So what that means for newbies is that a lot of the time, if you're doing a cross cut, you'll be using the sliding table, and if you're doing a rip cut, you'll be doing it using the main table and the rip fence. What we don't want to see you doing is trying to support material like this while you push it through like that. It's really unstable. You know, like you can rock that back and forth, as opposed to this where that's very stable. So when you're cutting things in a cross cut like this, it really needs to be supported on the long side. So you need like a sled or a miter fence or using the sliding table or something like that. Otherwise, what you're really doing is really risking that the board gets to the blade, torques a little bit, gets caught by the blade, and just kicks back straight into you.